So g'day and welcome to this catch-up with the Jesuits. We're joined today by Father Trung Nguyen in Melbourne and Father Tanaya in Adelaide. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Julian.
Father Trung, if I can begin with you, you're working in a parish now, St Ignatius in Richmond, but earlier in your Jesuit life you spent time on mission in China. What was it that drew you to missionary work, and why is missionary work such a strong part of the history and identity of the Jesuits?
Well, I think at that time it was the Societies of Jesus priority, one of the five major priority of the Society of Jesus. And China is such a large country, and there's so many people there. That's and it's such a great place. And we had such a long history there, the Jesuits in China. But for me, missionary depends on how you define it, really. But it is about, in a sense, being with people and outreach, and especially those who are most in need, most downtrodden. It is, of course, the mission of the church and mission from God, really. It is an invitation of Jesus, who is being missioned by God the Father into the world to be with us in this world. So I think that's why missionary or mission is so important for the church, but for us as Jesuits as well.
Thanks, Father Trung. Father Eka, a word that gets used in Jesuit texts and Ignatian commentary and things like that is magnanimity. What does that word mean, and why is it important to the Jesuits?
My understanding of magnanimity is that, from the Latin words magnus and anima, which means big soul. But I believe that Ignatius himself borrowed the language from Saint Thomas Aquinas, in a way that it is about our disposition to for greater things, than the greater things defined as the greater things for the glory of God, as Ignatius understood it. So in the spiritual exercises, Saint Ignatius mentions at the very beginning of the exercises that the retreatant needs to have the magnanimity going into the retreat. So for me personally, I take it as that we ought to go in with the greater disposition to allow God's graces to work in us, to have that big soul to allow God's work rather than to have our own sort of project or our own sort of intentions to grow bigger. So I think that's something that I have learned a number of years being a Jesuit, that it is allowing God to work more and more within us.
Thanks, Father Eka. Father Trung, hopefully having a big heart leads to lots of joy. What's given you joy this week?
Well, it happens to be my anniversary of my 10th year of my ordination today. So since early this morning, I've been getting many messages and texts of congratulations and best wishes. But I suppose for me, there's many moments of joy. And for me, every time I meet someone, anytime I am able to be present to people, many friends and people that I encounter along the way in my ministry, these are my moments of joy where I can bring Jesus to them, or be in some way a spiritual leader or spiritual presence for them. So these are my moments of joy, but especially today, I feel very blessed for my 10 years of being able to serve other people, and hundreds and thousands of people that I have been able to be part of their life. And hopefully I have touched their life and changed them and make them better or be more loved. But also they have been part of my life as well. So that's been a real blessing for me all these years.
Thanks, Father Trung, and congratulations. Father Eka, for you, what's given you joy this week?
Well, I just recently came back from the Kairos retreat. Kairos retreat is a retreat for students at St. Ignatius College in Athelstan here in Adelaide. There were about, I think, 22 young Year 12 students who went into the retreat, plus some student leaders, some adult leaders. And we spent 4 days together, so, reflecting on life, reflecting on God's love, how we encountered God's love in our lives, in our daily lives. And it had been such a moving experience for me to see how young people engage in this experience of love in their lives, even sometimes when they didn't recognize it immediately. But to see the transformation throughout those 4 days has been a very much life-giving experience for me, and it's very joyful.
Beautiful. Well, thank you both very much for joining us today.